Well, hello everyone. Here to show you that there's something to be proud of coloring activity right here. Is I went ahead and drew right here as example right here. If this will be right here as of me, and then of course right here is like if standing of course around a mailbox it is. And with anybody will probably think about, if most of us think about, of course you say the dreams for what we can imagine it is, such as it's like talking about our future it is that knowing about with most of the time it's like anybody probably think about that so far as the dreams of course for the future it is. And with anybody maybe think about that really anything that you may think about really seems so impossible of knowing about the fact about that from where you are now, from where maybe that you could be going it is, such as what you calls like anybody maybe think about that really the difference between what you calls like that so-called dream between that so-called nightmare it is talking about worries it is. And with anybody will probably think about, if anybody's dealing with that type of situation such as money issues or anything like that, so far as being behind on bill payments or anything like that. And knowing about though that there's something to be proud of talking about that this right here would be like what you calls like a picture of course what I would look like. And the way I drew it I was like that if I were be like in my mid 40s it is. And then at the time anybody made me think about exactly what exactly are you thinking about, of course in a drawing it is. But knowing about that I went ahead and drew this by freehand it is, of talk about the picture of course in my mind of if this were right here was me right here, and let's just say if there was a shadow right here, if I got right here as my shadow and about right here it is. And knowing about that if standing here and then you want to get a picture taken whichever it is of talk about it's like a house. If it was a house, that more likely that anybody probably think about that if you would have built the house of course maybe hired some professionals to build a house it is. And a lot of times that with most of us, if it's either struggling on money or if it's the fact about that those times to where that maybe you just it's an option, and then the money's going to come sooner or later just to take care of something whichever it is. But it seems like there's more likely always something stopping you to where maybe something's not such a good idea so far as to take that path of talking about, if it's either to work full time or if it's the fact about that with any type of situation such as anybody maybe think about if you wind up going to bankruptcy, going into like what you calls like a situation to where that talk about is like to enjoy life it is. With anybody maybe think about that really you can't really go through life worrying about stuff, as knowing about that for whatever that you can work out it is. And that knowing about if the question is really about who has control over whatever path. I'm like ever since of course I graduated from high school it was like that I want a nice looking car it is. And anybody maybe think about like that the type of car, I'm like really about any kind of car I was thinking about I had in mind it is. But let's just say this right here, I'll go and draw the car like right here is the front right here. Draw the cars like for the front, and your hair right here is the tires. But right here is that a kind of car. And of course this was like what you call the top on my list as so far as the things that of course I want to accomplish. That ever since I graduated of course from school it was for like a graduation present. I remember gotten cards, and then of course I had gotten a few other things too, and from graduation. With anybody maybe think about with graduation that you want to go out to go out to the dinner, hang out with your friends, go to a party. I'm like anybody probably think about that a number of things that more likely that in on senior graduation with most of the time, even maybe with college students, that you would maybe want to go ahead and go out for graduation it is, or something like that. But so far as presents though, with anybody probably think about that so-called perfect gift it is. And so far as the type of perfect gift is of course not knowing about what exactly are you thinking about. And anybody maybe think about that with the grad, you could maybe have a number of things that you may want to picture, of course, in your mind, such as, owning a later model car it is, or if it's like what you call is like anything else, such as opening up a business, and then there may be a time to where you may get that letter in the mail or something like that about maybe some issues that go on, and especially that right here as talking about is that you have right here is the example right here of a house, and let's just say if the future, the house that more likely I dream about in the future. Anybody probably think about, a dream is supposed to be something that you always want to do and something that you always want to have. Not really about the fact about, well, you have to have that, you have to take this, or other than that, you'll lose this and you'll lose that, it is, or so far as feeling pressured. And with most of the time, though, that anybody maybe think about that more likely you may have more time on the long run. Of course, it's like anybody probably think about that between what you call like the things that you have control over, and then knowing about the things that you don't have control over, and knowing about that you have right here is an example right here of a house, and of course you have right here is an example of, say, of the backyard, and of course I didn't draw all the details of knowing about it. It's like, where's the fence, it's like you talk about the backyard, and of course with the front yard it is. But so far something to be proud of, that I went ahead and drew this picture, of course, by hand. That we're not talking about copying off of another part of, say, an artwork it is, but I went ahead and drew this by hand. And anybody maybe think about, is this something that you were thinking about, or is it something that you just made up? And I could tell anybody here that more likely that this is an example right here of knowing about the type of a road ahead. So far as the road ahead, in order to be able to make this stuff possible, more likely that anybody maybe think about, go ahead and write it in on your diary. That anything that more likely could be personal, it is, such as it's like you write in there, I like the type of a man or woman that more likely you would want to meet one of these days, and anybody like, anybody particular, but other than that, so far as driving a car it is, and I could tell anybody here that so far we say with graduation, or if it's opening up a business a lot of times, and it's like anybody maybe think about, for congratulations, it is congratulations, you have successfully completed this course, and on to the other course, and a lot of times so far the word congratulations, some people may spell it as like you say congrats, I guess you say congrats, but say so far as for congratulations. Congratulations. Anyway, I'm like, trying to spell it out. I'm like, trying to spell congratulations, or congratulates, or congratulates. But other than that, see, but anyway, but talk about right here, anybody who maybe think about that, so far if I want to go ahead and write it in small, go ahead and write it in right here. It's like, so far as congratulations. Congratulations. And like, anybody read that? And if anybody probably think about it, it's the biggest handwriting. But anyway, we've been pretty much about got the idea. It's like for congrats or congrats or anything like that. Congrats. But so far as I say with the word, for congratulations, what does it usually mean? And so far, does it mean complete? Or you have reached the end of the major. And anybody maybe think about, you have reached the end of the major, and it seems like any ideas that maybe you may come up with later on of talking about, it's like, And what else? It's like, what else? But anyway, like with anybody, we'll probably think about, well, you may have more ideas later on, and whoever's interested it is, that they could probably think about, well, what else? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You have reached this, like, the end. Of course, to say at the finish line, or like, so far as where did you begin? I'm like, how did you manage, of course, to reach the end? But I could tell anybody here, but so far as talk about between, say, the finish line, and of course, right here's the mailbox, and go ahead and color this right here with a little bit of blue. But anyway, that you have right here, anybody maybe think about, that talk about this so-called mailbox. If I want to have my picture taken, of course, in front of something that more likely I worked hard for, such as something to be proud of, it is, and knowing about, maybe I would stand in front of the mailbox, and anybody probably think about it, especially if I planted that flower right next to the mailbox, and notice about how it was growing, and with anybody, what type of flower you're talking about. I mean, I may one of these days grow a flower, who knows, or any type of plant. I'm like, how do you, what's it like to plant something? Especially, I'm like, after you plant something, we could probably think about, it doesn't just take digging a hole in the dirt and then putting the seed in there. It takes, of course, time for watering it, and then of course time for watching it grow, and of course sunlight, and then other gardening tips it is, and it knowing about anybody maybe think about that is a flower something to be proud of? A garden that you want to grow something, is that something to be proud of? And some people that may say that no, that is not something to be proud of, because really that if you're not making enough dough, of course, to pay for do what you gotta do, it is. And on your hand too, that knowing about that a flower is just a flower. A flower just displays, of course, of knowing about what exactly are you talking about, such as, is this supposed to make your house look nice or what? Like anything that more likely I did myself, that more likely I feel proud of it. And anybody maybe think about, if they got proud in it, then you can tell them. I can, but other than that, I could probably tell anybody here that so far is something to be proud of. That knowing about, if it's that if you saved up, if you saved up $200 and you bought yourself something nice, whichever it was, but let's just say that if you completed the course it was, and went to school, and let's just say if you discovered, of course, a way of like talking about discovered a way to where that you can write, where you can color in, say a vertical line. It is. I've talked about anything that you can imagine, of course, that you'll be inside, say inside the drive, inside the parking lot there, such as right here, draw right here, say an automobile. But anybody maybe think about, that was this your idea to go ahead and draw, like what you call like dot 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 dot, like anything that you can picture in your mind, such as is it a bike, is it a moped rider, or is it a car? It is. I've known about right here that you see that right there, like use like what you call that similar color it is that I talk about right here. It's basically a type of rider to where you have it in the driveway, it is, and where's the garage, more likely it's around the other side. But on the other hand, that you have right here is see here, go ahead and work right here. I think I got the blue. Go ahead and use the blue, but use a little bit of the blue right here. But other than that, you talk about, it's like a house to where you may want a few, say maybe a few gardening bushes, of course, in the front it is, and you have right here's the lawn. But other than that you have right here is an example of me, as so far as is like in the future, talking about in our future it is about where you're going to be, where do you think you'll be taking yourself in the next couple of years from now. And with most people would probably think about, it's really hard to say, because every time I think about it, it seems like something happens to where that can't be proceeded, it is. And with anybody would probably think about, one thing that more likely that you may not take away is more likely to say is like the idea of talking about anything that comes to your mind, it is. And we're not talking about what you call super genie, any type of powers, it is, any type of special related powers, but we're talking about possibilities. It is so for you with possibilities of knowing about where exactly you would more likely be in the next couple years from now, and that could be what you call is like go ahead and use use the purple, but so far as the possibilities for where you think that you would maybe be in the next couple of years from now, they probably say a lot of people may think about that, may say that, that all depends, because on the other hand too, that knowing about that I'm always going to think about how much money of course I have, and anybody maybe think about that, that with the possibility of right here is being proud to be able to buy a calculator, because I remember back whenever I was young that buying one of those calculators, I can remember that they looked like they were worth at least $100 or more, and I know I paid a little over $100 or more for it. And on the other hand, that yep, anything that you do yourself it is, and anything that more likely that you say that comes to your mind. But so far as drawing myself and talking about the draw, the image, of course, if I'll be standing right here, right next to the mailbox, and what anybody would probably think about, it's like, what address do you think that you would more likely be located at? And I could probably say that, hard saying what address more likely I'll be located at, such as, if the number will be like what you call 525 or something like that, Cleveland, Cleveland Road or something like that. But on the other hand, a place to where that I say, a place what I called home, a place of my own. With anybody, maybe think about, yep, home is a 4-letter word. What exactly what it means? It's like, does it mean sweet home, or does it usually mean about the fact about that it's like talk about for where someone lives? Or is the most important part about what's caused like for the 3-letter word, and it's talking about right here, is like a place that place where possible, where say a place where dreams a place where dreams become that imaginable, which means of talking about right here, like if you draw the place, draw that location, and random it is, that more likely that yep, you probably think about that whatever that can happen is so far as something to be proud of talking about. It seems so real to where that it don't even seem like a photograph or a drawing anymore. It seems like you're actually there. But other than that, I talk right here so far as the underline, so far as like what you call is like for the home it is. Anybody may think about, yep, trying like with the pencil there, but other than that, I talk about right here is talk about, say, with the home, I talk about, say, something, of course, to be proud of. Like right here is like anybody probably thinking about, type of glasses, of course. I think maybe I may be wearing contacts, and who knows, next couple of years from now. But other than that, like talk about right here, let's talk about, say, so far as our future it is. Is the future what we make of it? It is the future. But a lot of people probably think about the future is too far ahead. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about between, it's like what you call, say, for true or false it is. Knowing about, anybody probably think about that so far as knowing about more likely you have control about, maybe if you think about it. So far as think about it, maybe work hard. So far as like something to be proud of knowing about, this is with, of course, what I did for my own talent, and of course it's like for my own word of saying, okay, something to be proud of. Talk about this, something to be proud of, coloring activity.